What makes a great rivalry in the WWE? What makes a rivalry so special to watch in the WWE? Is it the backstory between two superstars? Is it the promos they produce? Is it the in-ring product that they give us during the pay-per-view? Over the next 5 weeks, we will be having a podcast right here discussing, breaking down some of the greatest rivalries in WrestleMania history, some of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, the ones that have made WrestleMania the granddaddy of them all, the greatest of all time, the show of shows. We will be discussing it right here on the podcast over the next 5 weeks. Coming in on this podcast for my first one, definitely you have to go back to 1992, WrestleMania 8, the huge double main event. Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice was one of them, and Macho Man Randy Savage versus the real world's heavyweight champion, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, the WWE champion at the time. An epic rivalry, an epic confrontation, and a great matchup. Ric Flair proclaiming that he had a relationship with Miss Elizabeth, Macho Man's wife, before Macho Man did. Really getting under the skin of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man was very torn and upset about this. Ric Flair had pictures. They were showing that Ric Flair had pictures. Come the actual event, during the interview before Ric Flair came out, said that he had this prize centerfold that he was going to put up on the big screen at the Hoosier Dome. And it was all perfect. And Mr. Perfect was there, his executive consultant. So he had his manager with him. It was just all going perfect and great for Ric Flair heading into WrestleMania 8. Getting under the skin of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man Randy Savage wouldn't give many interviews, really wouldn't say anything at all, not to anybody, but his facial expressions and all that, and when he give interview would explain it all. WrestleMania 8, Mean Gene Okerlund had to give a promo saying Macho Man wouldn't even give a promo to us before the encounter. Once Ric Flair got to the ring, Macho Man was bound and determined to get his hands on Ric Flair. Charged down to the ring, almost ran over Howard Finkel. That's how fast he was going in. Charged at Ric Flair, knocked him down, charged him all the way through the aisle, started beating him up. Mr. Perfect came over, yanked him off of Ric Flair. Very entertaining, very intriguing. After this, the match really started getting picked up. Ric Flair, did get the upper hand, really took it to the Macho Man for a while. Finally, Macho Man came back and busted Ric Flair wide open on the outside, rammed his head into the steel post 2 times, I do believe, and Ric Flair did his famous walk and fell flat on his face, busted wide open. A lot of dirty tricks was being played by the Ric Flair camp. Mr. Perfect using a steel chair on Macho Man's leg. And when Macho Man went for the elbow and for the 1-2, Mr. Perfect went in and grabbed Macho Man's leg and pulled him outside. Referee had to get in between them. This was a great contest. And all in all, Macho Man in the end became the WWE champion for the second time by rolling up Ric Flair and having a big chunk of the tights. Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect, after the matchup, proclaiming that Macho Man cheated, even though Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect was cheating all throughout the matchup, but still it was entertaining to watch the intensity, the emotion, the fire come out of Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair and Bobby the Brain Heenan, who was their advisor, back in those days when Ric Flair was in WWE. Bobby the Brain Heenan was their advisor, and he went in there and was, throwing his towel and knocking over the phone in the dressing room and all different types of stuff. The entire Ric Flair camp was going ballistic backstage in the interview. Really did a great job playing up Macho Man winning like that and made this match more special. Macho Man Randy Savage, when he had his interview with Mean Gene Okerlund, didn't give two flying nothing about what Ric Flair had to say, what Ric Flair was complaining about, what Ric Flair was moaning and griping and complaining about. Macho Man was the WWE champion, and he took a piece out of Ric Flair. So that's all he cared about doing, and he wanted the rest of him. So they really did a great job building up Macho Man's emotion for winning that contest and how he won. And he didn't give two flying craps on how he won that encounter. In all, this matchup and the story behind it and their epic promos before and after the match really put, in my estimation, WrestleMania 8 on the map and really led up to more great WrestleManias to follow. Gave other WrestleManias an example to look back on, saying this match is something we can mold other matches from. Great WrestleMania matchup, something that is in the history books, and we can all go back and enjoy even today. Now, that is 25 years ago. What do you all think? Do you all like this rivalry? If you have not seen it, if you have not watched this matchup, highly advise you go back and watch this particular matchup. Macho Man, Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8. Let me know what rivalry you would want me to discuss, look into right here on the podcast. What rivalry you want me to break down on the podcast. Next week, I'm going to try to have a special guest to discuss my special guest's favorite WrestleMania rivalry. But let me know which one you want to have on here. What rivalry you want to discuss in the comments below. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe. Twitter at 2007 Webby. Facebook at 2007 Webby. Until I see you again, this is Webby, and I'll catch you on the other side. Talk to you later.